this might be the biggest bargain I think I've ever picked up on any FM. Unironically, he is ridiculous.
You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone. But you don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. And you keep telling lies.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Outcasts to Icons. If you've been enjoying the series up to this point, drop a like on the video. That'll be massively helpful. We have a banger for you today, hopefully. Firstly, just want to apologise for the lack of a video last night. I did try to post on the YouTube community page, but as usual, that only seems to go to mobile stuff, which is really dumb. I put it in the Discord too, but yeah, essentially had some issues with my audio interface, which meant that it wasn't recording any audio, which is a real problem when you're trying to speak into things. So yeah, I just had to kind of accept that that was not going to be the case. Eventually managed to find a backup cable that I had, but it was already too late by that point. However, with the lack of being able to actually record anything yesterday, and I knew fairly early on that that was going to be the case, I was able to put a lot more time than I would normally be able to into a transfer window. Usually, obviously I'm pushed for time a lot of the time, so I have to be somewhat like triage the time away through the transfer window. But I ended up spending like 7 hours yesterday really deep diving into some transfers to try to get us the best possible deals, because I knew how important this summer would be for us. And I genuinely think that we've done, with the exception of one, but lols and more on that in a minute, I think we've actually done really, really well this summer, both with the ins and with the outs. So I'm extremely excited to show you the players that have joined the club this summer. I've also made a slightly different version of the tactic. I know, imagine that, a new season with Matt going, hey, look, I've made a new version of the tactic. Mainly because I was noticing, I actually know, I get a lot of my tactical ideas from watching the edits while I'm editing the videos. I see stuff that I wouldn't normally see while I'm actually playing the games. And I noticed that a lot of our good play down that left-hand side potentially could have been improved if we had a left-footed player swinging crosses in rather than driving and trying to find the goal all the time. So I've made a version with a winger on the left-hand side instead of an inside forward to try to change things up a little bit, and I have actually signed someone to play there as well, just to give us something a little bit different. And I think it just gives us another option, and I think it's going to be quite successful, hopefully. It certainly looks good, but in friendlies, it's really hard to tell, isn't it? Just on a total side note as well, Italy have had a team in the Europa League finals for each of the last 5 years in a row, and they've lost every single one of them, and 3 of those times it's been Lazio. They've lost 3 Europa Leagues in 5 years. Now, it's softened by the fact they won the Champions League in the first season of this save, so I guess they don't care as much, but Jesus. And we also had a cup game, which I'll briefly show you as well before we get into today's first game of the season against Crotone, away from home. Now, remember, we played quite well against them last year. This will be a good little litmus test for me. I'm showing you Stim here because, of course, he is still here, which is the main thing. Never even wanted by anyone, which was even better. And I admit, at the early stages of the window, I was getting a bit concerned because we lost out on a few of my big targets very, very early on. There was a guy that was released. I did look at some of the relegated sides, but the problem with relegated teams is that unless they have a relegation release clause, you're rarely likely to get them any cheaper than you would do if they weren't relegated. Unless the club lists them at a lower price, you're still having to bargain with the exact same leverage, unfortunately. However, they did actually list a guy. I can't remember who it was from in the end, but he ended up choosing West Brom. It was a Malayan centre-back. He was 32, so not ideal, and I'm almost glad we missed out on him in the end, but he chose to go to West Brom, who I'm thinking are newly promoted to the Premier League in this save. So we missed out on him, but that's fine, because I really do think we've strengthened. It's not going to be the perfect squad by any means, but I really have decided that we could build something long-term at Sassuolo, so I made my transfers with that in mind to really dig into things. Right, before we do anything else though, I'm going to show you the outs, because there has actually been a lot. Like a lot. So Christopher Klaassen, we already knew, sadly, was going to be joining Empoli on a contract for 1.2 million. Nothing I could do about that. That was already agreed when we came in, but he has now left. Giorgio Micoli, a centre-back ish type of player, has also left to go to Granada for £800,000. I was really just trying to drive up some extra cash to use elsewhere. And you might think, Matt, why are you selling centre-backs? Don't worry, there's a plan. Francisco Pereso, similar story. He's gone over to Stade Levallois for £1 million as well. Just getting these sort of 24-year-olds that seem to be pretty much at their peak, with no real room to grow, particularly, that were costing us money and we could get some money from. Just getting these guys off the bill was a key thing for me, so that's what I've done here. Valerio Nardelli is another of these players, gone for £900,000 to Frosinone. You can see how this sort of adds up. Jonas Radu has gone to Napoli for £2 million. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but Napoli, and I realise it's only £2 million, but think of how much wages we just got off of our bill by getting him to Napoli. The champions of Serie A decided that they wanted our goalkeeper, who'd been, like, someone said he had hands like cat flaps. So I don't know what the deal with that was, but he wanted to go, they wanted him, that's their problem. I guess for cup goalkeeper, maybe for squad registration rules or something, but regardless, he's gone for 2 million. Jacopo Finazzi, who's gone to Angers for 1.8 million pounds. I was a little bit more sad to see him go, but again, we had better players in the squad and he was really never going to find any game time. Camino Majorano has gone to Mainz for 3.3 million pounds, and I was very pleased with this deal because, again, I just didn't see a future for him in this team. So to get £3.5 million for him nearly, very happy. And then there was Davide Perazzo, who's gone to Valladolid for £2.5 million. Again, he may be a centre-back, but lacks the heading. He's not bad, actually. But again, I feel like any players we've gone and got rid of, they've been replaced with better. That's the key. João Mendes has gone to Pordenone for £650,000. There's more. Jacinto Valois has gone to Brescia for £1.3 million. He was a youth player from a couple of seasons ago, I think, but the potential just wasn't there anymore. He was rated like 2 stars, so to get 1.3 million for him, I was very surprised. And the last of the bunch is Fabio Casagrande, who's gone to Spal for, I think it's 4.2, rising to 5.5 million. I nearly sold him at the start of the window, but then I wasn't sure about our centre-back situation, so I held on to him because I figured that we may well need him, but the reason he then did leave was because I was able to facilitate some transfers that I believe has made us stronger to the point where we didn't need him as much, and it just helped offset some other transfer deals. So, yeah. Good Waka change, good load of players have gone out, but a lot of them weren't going to be playing for us anyway, and we're just taking up space in our squad, essentially, and we've now replaced them with quite a lot. I'm going to go through this in chronological order, so you can see the order in which these players came in, and there's a lot. But don't worry, I have managed to register everybody that I wanted to register, so that's all good. There are a few players that are obviously below the registration limit, but by the time they reach the registration limit, other players will be phased out, so it's fine. First off, obviously, Renato Sanchez. I thought he was going to be on more money than that. £34,000 a week. It's still... I wish we hadn't spent the money on him, but... Well, not that I had a choice in the matter, but he is now here. So there's that, I guess. I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's lacking a bit... I mean, he's not actually losing too much of his... physicals just yet, because he does have such good natural fitness. So I'm sure we could hopefully get a good season out of him perhaps, but I don't think he's going to be my first choice. And in that same breath, Emerson, although I actually think Emerson is a better signing. He's on a bit more money and he is 32, which is not ideal, but he does count as EU because he played in the EU for such a long time, so that was not a problem for us too. And the fact that the board had already agreed the deal and he was already coming in, fine by me. Like, he's a good player, and I think he's better than what we had in that position. I did receive some bids for Cabrera, but sadly he was refusing to actually go to any of the clubs. We had a bid of 17 million for him from Crotone, of all places, but he refused their contract. That would have been quite nice to have. The first of my signings, though, is Marco Quarto. Now, you might look at that and go, Matt, it's an attacking midfielder. I know, but I promise you, he was free. He was released by Inter. Imagine that, eh? Inter releasing a player that they really shouldn't have done. So when the opportunity came to pick him up for £24,000 a week on a free transfer from Inter with that kind of quality, I thought there's really no downside to it, particularly as he's an Italian player as well, so the board would really like it. So to get him for free, basically, a model citizen as well, a left-footed player too that can play on that side as well. So that gives Kudus a bit of a rival for his position as well. I was happy to bring him in, really, and I really do think he's a quality player for free. The next signing I made was a left-sided player. It's Francisco Conceição, on loan from Borussia Mönchengladbach for the season. Now, we do have a buy clause, but like it's optional, so that's fine. It's 37 million. I think unlikely that we're probably going to trigger that. But when I decided that we were going to have that winger potentially on the left-hand side, I decided, you know what, let's see what's out there. And he was available on a loan. Now, he's on quite high wages, but look at the attributes. 15 crossing, 16 dribbling. He's got speed. He's got great first touch, lovely mentals to go with it, great technique, great passing. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And you'll notice that he's already scored 2 goals in a cup game where he actually played on the right-hand side. I actually played him here because we had to, because of suspension. But nevertheless, I think that, you know, we're paying his wages, sure, but nevertheless, to have him for the season, I'm actually pretty pleased with that. And I think he gives us a little bit something different on that left-hand side. Next up is the left-back that I told you guys about before that was coming in from Tenerife. He's not spectacular, but for £1.2 million, I was fairly satisfied with what we were getting. He's a solid player, not superb. I think the left-back spot is the one position in the team that I think we could have done better with, but I still think he's decent in terms of his physicals. He's got solid mentals as well. Technicals are okay, nothing special, really, but that's fine by me for the moment. Josip Glavaš is in. The 17-year-old joined us from Dinamo Zagreb, of course. But look at that. The fact that he, at 17, is 2.5 stars in this team is actually mad. He's under loan bids at the moment, but he's not going anywhere. I think this guy could actually make an impact for us in places this season. And with a bit of finishing training, to get that shooting up a little bit, there's a hell of a player under this guy. And speaking of hell of a player, Dinko Pavlic, 8 caps for Croatia, 21 years old, joins us on a permanent deal from Dinamo Zagreb. You already knew it was happening, but look at him. Oh, the positioning, his teamwork is decent as well, but like the tackling isn't spectacular, but his positioning is so good that it kind of makes up for it. And so is his marking as well. He just does things. He's played one game for us as well, obviously in the Cup, and just ran the show from that position. I don't know what it is. He just racks up rating. He is a phenomenal footballer, and I'm so glad we've got him. I think he's going to make us so much stronger in that position. His value's already higher than we paid for him, by a comfortable margin too. Next up is the first of our sort of potential centre-back signings. This is Rogerinho, or as we will now be referring to him as Little Roger. Except he's not little. He's 6'3" with 17 jumping reach. He's a pretty big boy. Now, the heading is the downside, for sure, but he's only 20. I've got him on his aerial training because he has great bravery already. I've no doubt that we can get that heading up because he's got a good personality in theory as well. Potential has dropped a little bit since he joined. Originally, he was 3-star, 5-star, but that's just how it goes sometimes. We've paid £4 million from Palmeiras. He is going to be our non-EU signing for this period. And I looked at so many different options in centre-backs. I did have a look at some of those other guys that we had on the list potentially, but the other guy I showed you in the last video, they just wanted so much money. I think it was 48 million, which I could have probably got down to about 28, 29 million. It just wasn't worth it, because considering the difference between the two and who else we've managed to bring in for literally less than that in terms of money. So little Roger has joined us, and he played extremely well in his first game in the back line. He got an 8 when he didn't score. And we conceded in that game. Next up is another centre-back. Now, unfortunately, we did sign another couple of centre-backs, but 2 of them have been injured, which is a shame, because neither of them are injury-prone, but it is what it is. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, he broke his leg. He broke his leg in a training session about 2 weeks after joining us. So this is Carlo Volpe. He's coming from Spal for £10 million in total. But when I'd looked at other areas of this team, I feel like he was the right man for this job. He's 6'1", but he has good jumping reach. He's got decent marking, extremely good tackling. Again, his heading is a little bit of a letdown, but we can work on that with him. Still only 24 years old. He's also Italian, which is just nice because the board won that. He has fantastic mental attributes as well. And I thought he played quite well against us for Spal in that game. So he was one of the players on my list. I went in and we've got him as well. So that's 2 centre-backs, but there's another one too. He's a bit weird though. Turns out there was actually 3. Someone has just turned on a power drill next door. This is Ramon Uriarte, who is a 21-year-old Spanish centre-back that we've got from Valencia. I do apologise if you can hear the power drill next door. There's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. And this guy might honestly be one of the biggest bargains I've ever found on Football Manager, and that is not a joke. If you knew how much we paid, well, you're going to find out, but honestly, I'd like you to guess at this point. Okay, I've had to shut all the windows. It's about to get sweaty in here, boys. But yes, this is Ramon Uriarte, who is a centre-back, left-footed centre-back too, which is kind of useful, just to give us a bit of balance. I cannot believe we got this guy. Unfortunately, he has a broken toe, so he's also going to be missing for another month, which is a shame, but it happens. Oh my goodness. I saw a centre-back, and he was rated very highly in terms of stars, but you can never really tell until they join you about that kind of stuff, and I couldn't see all of his attributes. I could see his marking was 15, but his heading and tackling, the range was 19 to 13 or something like that, and I was like, okay, he's available quite cheap because he was listed by Valencia. And I thought, even if he's on the lower end of those attribute ranges, he'd still be a solid signing for the price. And then we put the bid in, he joins us, and he was at almost the highest end of the attribute range. I could not believe it. It was a risk and a half, but it paid off like crazy. He's 6'1", good jumping reach, decent speed to go with it, 18 heading and 18 tackling, 15 marking and 14 positioning at the age of 21, and we've paid £2.5 million for Ramon Uriarte from Valencia. This might be the biggest bargain I think I've ever picked up on any FM. Unironically, he is ridiculous. Shame he's injured, but enough of that. I then made a very bad signing, and that was bringing Serge Reguilon in on loan from Crystal Palace, who is, okay, he's fine, but he's also 34, and I'm going to be cancelling this loan deal because we can't even register him. So, hey, there's always going to be something rotten in the bunch there, and that was that bad signing from me. Look at this, Jesus. You were worried. You thought, oh God, he's not replaced the goalkeeper. Oh no, I have. This is Luca Moscatelli, 24-year-old goalkeeper. He's coming from Atalanta for £5 million. We've got him for £5 million. I know we sold Radu for 2, but this guy for me suits us exactly. Now, the first touch is a bit poor, agreed. Eccentricity is low, but that's not exactly super important. He has great one-on-ones, great reflexes. His kicking is solid as well. His vision is a little bit sus, but I really do like him, and I think he'll hopefully be a step up over Radu, and to only pay £5 million for him is insane. Again, Atalanta listed him, and I went, yoink. So for £5 million, I couldn't say no. And there is one more signing. He's a very, very strange one, but it was one of those too good to turn down opportunities because we had the money, and it was the sale of the other centre-back that I sold right at the end that basically facilitated this deal. And this is he. This is Mihailo Milivojev, a 20-year-old Serbian. Oh, he's 6'4". I thought he was 6'1". A 20-year-old Serbian who's coming from Red Star for £6 million. But it's not that gets me. He has 20 jumping reach. I've not seen a player have 20 jumping reach in a very long time, if ever. And usually it's because they're like 6'7", 6'8". The fact that he's 6'4" and has 20 jumping reach to me is extremely impressive. But the key thing about him for me as well is that tackling's fine, marking's decent, positioning's decent, heading is very good, no surprises there. He can play bloody everywhere. He's got good passing and vision as well. Like, we could put him as the ball in midfielder if we wanted to. We could put him as a mez if we wanted to, although I really wouldn't do. But the thing is, he can also play centre-back for us and be extremely competent in the role as well, as he has done where I played him there in the very first game. I couldn't believe this guy was available for £6 million. So that concludes our transfer business for this summer, but I'm extremely happy with the business we've done. I think we've strengthened the defence, we've got rid of a load of dead wood, we've brought in a couple of extra bodies in other positions that perhaps just needed a little bit more, and just some players that were too good to turn down. The injuries to the centre-backs are annoying. I would have much rather gone with Uriarte and Volpec as my centre-back pairing and not Rogerino and Milivojev, but they've done a great job in their first game, so I'm happy to go with them again today because we may not have any choice. And remember, we've still got Corbo as well. We now have 5 functioning centre-backs in this team that we can rotate around, cover other positions. I'm much, much happier about our defensive setup, and we got a new keeper, so very happy indeed. Particularly for our first window at the club. We also beat Foggia in the cup as well. First half, we just dominated them. In the second half, I made a switch to try something in the second half. It didn't work out properly. That's fine. It happens. 2 goals for Conceição and 1 for Marco Quarto in there as well. They also missed a penalty in this game too, so they very nearly could have brought it back a little bit. But I think had we continued with what we were doing in the first half, we would have blown them out the water. But I just wanted to try something since we were already 3-0 up in the game. But Conceição was superb playing on that right-hand side due to a suspension. So yeah, very, very happy indeed. My prediction was that it was going to take us a good couple of seasons to really bed this squad out the way I want it to, but I want to put the time in at this club because I feel like this is a good long-term project for us where we could actually take them into Europe, hopefully, and not just use this as a springboard. Now, it could still end up being a springboard, but not an immediate springboard. Not like we're here for 3 seasons and then we piss off to someone in like a slightly higher position in Germany. I feel like we could actually go somewhere with Sassuolo, maybe actually have a run at some European stuff potentially if we can get there. And that's going to be tough, but I think we've set ourselves up nicely for now. And every single player I've brought in, minus Serge Reguilon, has been able to be registered. That's the key thing. That's a lot of changes my assistant wants to make, but I will let him do it just because there is some changes we need to make anyway. So Conceição back to the left-hand side here. Sigurjonsson was suspended for the cup game. Pavlish in there. No. I'm going to start Cabrera, I think. No, not Cabrera. Yes, Cabrera. Just different Cabrera. Rogerino and Milivojev will have to play in there at the moment because we don't have any other options other than Corbo, which is fine. Flans, what I tried in the last game, and I think it worked quite well, was Kudus a bit deeper, and then I actually played Quarto through the centre, because he sort of does the same thing as Kudus, but he's got slightly better attributes in the position there, so I went with Kudus in the deep position, and he didn't play amazingly, but we will just have to see how it goes. We've also got some guys back on loan as well, like Tartaglione is an excellent player as well at left-back, and could easily do a job there too, and Langliotti, again, great player. So many options in this team. I'm still going to put Pacino on the bench instead of Merritt, but I think we've improved the team, and that's all we really wanted to do. Now, will we be able to hit the ground running straight away? I don't think we will, but regardless, I think we've definitely made this team better. And as you can see, of course, winger on support on the left-hand side now. It's just the same tactic, just with a slight change there. And also with this version, we've got dribbling down both sides because it makes more sense to have the winger actually, getting the ball. I'm excited. Last time we played against Crotone away from home, we did lose 1-0, but we played pretty bloody well. And I think we're a better team now than we were then. Now, it will, I still think, take us a little while to bed these new players in because there is actually a lot of them in this team. In fact, the whole back 6, if you include Pavlish, are brand new. There's actually 7 new players in our starting lineup at the moment. It might even be 8, actually. Now, since we lost 1-0 last year, if we were to come away with anything other than a defeat, then I would consider that a step in the right direction. Quarto's ball through, Sigurjonsson with a strike just off the post. 25 minutes gone. Yet to have a shot are Crotone in this game so far, which is a good sign. We've definitely been the dominant of the 2 teams currently. Oh, look at the space. He's got to slip him through. Conceição into the box on his left foot now. Can he whip it across for someone? He doesn't, but Cabrera's in there, and Quarto is on the end of it. It's Crotone 0, Sassuolo 1. Marco Quarto with his... That's a great name. With his second goal in as many matches, playing in that position. It's Crotone 0, Sassuolo 1. We just had so much space out here. Cabrera is able to put this into the path of Conceição, and instead of driving inside, he's taken it to the byline, but then Cabrera's got space for a gorgeous little ball through. Lovely little... Does it come off his tit? I don't know. It's 1-0 Sassuolo. That's what I do know. Now, these guys came 6th in the league last season, so bear that in mind when we're looking at this right now. Our aim is top half. That's what I've told the players. Pavlish in there with a great challenge. Straight away, Dinko Pavlish getting involved, and now we have a chance to counter. Sigurjonsson finds Kudus. He's got so many bodies to find. Can he pick the right pass, though? He does. Conceição, and it's straight at the goalkeeper from Sigurjonsson. Great first half, definitely the better side. Pavlich, though, you'll see, on a 6.2. He's just breaking up the play, winning the ball, doing great things for us. It's so good to see him back, and he's just picked up exactly where he left off at Dinamo. Back inside for Varane. Oh, hello. Perez, get across to him. Great block on the line there. I don't know who that was. It was Rogerinho, little Roger, with the big block. Pavlich pops it all the way across for Skov Olsen. Kudus. Round the side for Emerson, blocking into the box. Goes for goal and it's in off the post. Emerson makes it 2-0 to Sassuolo. First action, really, of the second half that we've had. It's Crotone 0, Sassuolo 2, as Emerson coming up from right back, making a lovely little run into the penalty area. And that, just great patience here from Pavlich. The ball out wide actually isn't very good, but we end up getting away with it. Kudus, though, that is a superb little flick round the side from Kudus. And a wonderful finish into the bottom corner from Emerson. Maybe the keeper could do a tad better, but it's 2-0 to Sassuolo. Lombardo's got Pavlich in the middle. Here we go. That's a lovely little pick-up from Pavlich. Quarto. Where's the runner? There's the runner. It's Marcus Paolo inside. That's a big, big tackle on him from Fischer, and that could have been a red card and a penalty right there. Well, we have managed this game perfectly. Crotone 0, 6th place last year, remember. Sassuolo 2. A big, big step up from last year. Defensively, look a lot tighter at the back. Pavlich as well was phenomenal. In fact, I think he might have even won man of the match. No, Emerson actually wins man of the match. Brilliant performance from the lads. Definitely the better side. Defensively stable. Great work from everybody in the back line. This is the difference, really, between us this year and last season. These kind of performances, and this isn't even our final form. I don't think I could have asked for a more perfect start to the season. To go to an away game that last year we lost narrowly because of some poor defensive display, to this year go there and put in a performance like that with 2 new players grabbing the goals and the defenders doing a stellar job, to me, is excellent. And remember, we still have Carlo Volpes and Ramon Uriarte to come back into this team as better defenders than the 2 that are in there right now, or at least in the case of Volpes, equal to those guys. We've got depth at the back this year. We've got room for injuries to happen. We've got a squad here that I really do feel like can challenge for the top half this year, and I'm excited to see what we can do. And I just don't think I've ever been as excited as this for a season in this save. I'm massively happy. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, I honestly really hope you have. What's not to like right now? Then drop a like on the video. That would be superb. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That would be gorgeous too. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, so go follow there as well. New save will be starting very soon. Tomorrow's episode, we start off at home to Cagliari. We could go 2 wins out of 2 straight off the bat. That would be a very strong start to the season because, well, the games don't exactly get easier. Atalanta, Samp, Lazio, Inter, Juve. What a run of games. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.